anything could be a prequel to Grosse Pointe Blank. You could tie all these together, which makes me
Yeah,
happy.
because a lot of, that's the thing about John Cusack. A lot of, like, he's been in 10 movies with Jeremy Piven. I think Joan Cusack has been in 13 movies with him. Yeah, he's got that kind of core that he works with.
Yeah, Steve Pink
Alan
too.
Arkin has been in several, I think.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah, and I love Hot Tub Time Machine too, man. I love that film. But I think he's kind of the king to me of the kind of romantic comedies that don't feel like traditional romantic comedies. So you have like The Sure Thing, right? I just think him and I don't know, I love his cross country trip in there with she's from Spaceballs, Daphne Zuniga. I dig Better Off Dead because that's a weird movie. That's one of the strangest films, but it's beautiful in there. And then One Crazy Summer is more about like the friendships, and he has a relationship with Demi Moore, but he still does hoops like a weirdo. Like there's always a weird edge to his films. They're never. I mean, Serendipity is pretty straightforward.
Look
Must
at
Love Dogs.
High Fidelity as well.
Yeah.
That's kind of
He called
jilted
himself
guy.
Passive aggressive womanizer is what he called himself in that. But like I guess with Grosse Pointe Blank, it's just it's a really interesting like blend of action and comedy. But like all the characters feel somewhat real, right? Remember at the party, like people are just drunk, everyone's dancing, having a good time, but then later on everyone's just standing around looking plowed. That feels right to me, does it not? Like that seems like an actual reunion.
You see, I wouldn't know. Like this is a thing that's kind of alien to me.
I never went to one, but
we don't have those at least in Ireland. Like
no,
I can't think of any like 10-year high school. Like high school is not that big a deal, to be honest. People are just like, okay, you finished school now, go and do something meaningful. We don't have this kind of nostalgia for high school or that kind of thing that you see a lot particularly in US media. It's like the nostalgia for like the glory days of high school and when you were the best athlete in town or captain of the football team. It's like the highlight of your life.
I threw 5 touchdowns in one day. Like these are the best
in
days
that one game against that random team from 2 towns over.
These are the best days of our life. You watch Dazed and Confused. I love it. Great movie. But
that is a good one.
Yeah, in that movie though, they're like, these are the best days of our lives. I'm like, these are the best days of our lives. Shoot me. So I kind of like that had something to say about it. But yeah, I mean, nostalgia is strong in the States. Like nostalgia for like the 50s, like Spielberg, all that kind of stuff. And then his like kind of this nostalgia for this high school world that doesn't exist in the States. I mean, it's rich, but I also like, I don't know, I feel like this one has another, I don't know, I feel like these people feel real to me, even though they're in a heightened movie. I mean, maybe not, does that make, am I making sense? Because
you had like, was that another Cusack, Amy Cusack, I think it was, who was playing like the really drunk girl who just comes and sits down with them next to the diner. It's like, oh, you guys are still a couple. Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah. And she's dancing later on at the reunion, and there's a bunch of familiar faces who are dancing during that scene. So there must be a lot more on the cutting. There actually is a lot more on the cutting room floor. I would love to see a director's cut of this film. And also too, the director was talking about how there's a director's cut of Big Bounce out there. Did you ever watch The Big Bounce with Owen Wilson?
Doesn't ring a bell.
So it's based off an Elmore Leonard novel. It takes place in Hawaii, and I enjoy it. But I guess the original cut was NC-17, and then they cut it to R. And then what they said was, hey, we need to get this down to PG-13 because in 2004, this is right around when 40-year-old Virgin took off as the R-rated comedies were taken off. But they're like, you need to edit it because R-rated comedies don't make money. So there's a director's cut of The Big Bounce out there somewhere that isn't cut down like the 17% rated flop. But yeah, I would actually like to see that movie. So it seems like this guy shoots a lot of footage, but he has.
Well, yeah, as he said, like it was 150 pages before they even cut the script down. Never mind what they actually shot and what they got improvised. I'm sure, like Dan Akroyd, there's probably an hour of him doing ridiculously weird things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about his shooting technique. Shooting from the hip with 2 guns just while smiling.
And Cusack doing the lay down, twist arm, gun shots. Like it's very, none of it's I think that's why I like it so much. It's so silly, like the gunplay in it. And then he gets a TV on his head.
I was trying to kind of count the bullets and just be like, all right, how many do they actually fire? And there's just like, I was like, oh, there is like a cursory stop every now and then where Cusack reloads. Nobody else reloads.
Yeah.
But Cusack reloads.
He does
Everyone else
reload.
is just like infinite bullets.
Yeah, when Akroyd comes out in the beginning and kills those 4 men and then loads 17 bullets into the dead guy, I'm like,
From like 6 shooters.
yeah, I was like, how many bullets are in those revolvers? But I guess it's still fun. I don't know. I dig it. But yeah, I mean some people didn't like the gunfight at the end of Grosse Pointe Blank, but I love it. I think it's fun. I mean, I don't know how else to resolve it. You got to kill these people. You can't just drive
otherwise
away.
it's just going to be unresolved. Or, is he going to just be like, oh, hey, Grocer, I would actually like to be in your union. Thanks.
Yeah, like you got to kill everybody, right? You got to kill the spooks, the G-men.
Yeah.
You got to kill the hitmen. But Benny the Jet's employers are still going to go after him over Boudreaux, the Wonder Dog.
You would think so.
Poodle Pumper.
Yeah, well, maybe it shouldn't have been so wonderful and play fetch with sticks of dynamite. So
what
doesn't sound like a very smart dog.
What are your favorite moments in this movie? Like, what are some things in here that just you've remembered through the years? Like, when you watch this, like, what moments bring you joy?
I really like how the soundtrack is like a part of the movie. Like, it's not just, oh, right, we need a song here. Yeah, there's the scene where he kind of first goes into the convenience store when it's his home, and you've got like Live and Let Die playing, and then he goes inside, and there's like a slightly different version of Live and Let Die playing actually inside the store, kind of. And then obviously with Debbie being a DJ, she's kind of playing like various different songs, all of which basically Cusack just went into his record collection. Like, right, here are some bands I like. I'm going to play some. I want this music, this music, this music, this music.
That's perfect. Even the opening song, what I can see clearly now, because it's really contrasting too, because he used to love he used to love killing people, but now his thoughts are sort of muddied on the issue. But then the songs I can see clearly now, even though that's the last thing he can do.
It's become a chore for him almost. He's there at the very beginning. He's on this job and he's like, okay, I used to kill this dude on a bike, and he's like, okay, yeah, I've got my gun. Oh, there he is, right, done. And then obviously things don't go quite to plan. He's like, well, they only paid me for one.
Yeah, he did his job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just become money. So then, it's interesting. It probably used to be a thrill for him, and now it's just a job. And so he's almost going through a mini midlife crisis. It's like he likes murdering, but now it's become a job. So then, do you enjoy it?
Well, I guess some people do enjoy their work, but
I love my job.
If it does become like if it becomes like a chore, it's never fun.
Yeah, it's true. So I guess killing people gets boring when taxes are involved.
What do? Do you start coming up with more elaborate ways to kill people, for example?
Catapults?
Catapults, strings from ceilings with poison.
What a scene. That dude just turns his head and he just runs in and shoots him. And that's why he has to take the Michigan job, correct? Yeah,
it's because that job was supposed to look like a suicide, basically, or a heart attack, or I think it was a heart attack, they said. And because he shot him, it's like, in certain jurisdictions, I'm sure it could be argued that it was a heart attack. But most courts are going to say, yes, it was a bullet that killed him.
And going back to the soundtrack too, how much money do they pay for this? Do the band, they have Bowie in this, they have Queen, they have Under Pressure.
Yeah.
Like that's, this budget was only 15 mil.
I'd say they spent most of it on songs. I don't know if Cusack even took, because he's a producer on it as well. He might not have taken much of an acting fee for it, like the passion project.
Oh yeah, and he did say that Joe Roth over at Disney, they had a great working relationship with them. So they just did a handshake and he made 2 of his best movies ever. So he seems to they probably enjoyed the creative freedom. Cusack had a pretty hot name at the time. So I wonder if they because 15 million's nothing. Like, didn't they, in some movies they drop like $1 million for a song.
Yeah.
To get this. So, I mean, they must have written letters or pulled some strings, or people love the Cusack. But I mean, it's not a big budget movie by any means. So, I mean, the budget, they blew up the Altamart, right? That probably cost a few bucks.
Yeah, was it Motorhead playing in the background?
Ace of Spades. And then you have that kid who works in the gas station. I'm hurt. I'm this. I gotta find a new job. But his headphones are magnificent, Niall, to not hear
They are.
the gunfight.
Obviously, the noise cancelling technology was far ahead of its day. Yeah, another kind of modern convenience within the movie.
And he's just playing Doom. He's like, I can never go home, but I can shop there. Stupid.
But yeah, the kid's just there playing Doom, listening to Motorhead while the entire place is exploding around him.
And then he
I
saves
like
him.
to think, even with my headphones in, I would notice the absolute chaos that's
Yeah.
going on.
I mean, and they don't even have silencers on.
Yeah.
I do, man, I like, you know, in The Jerk, when he's like, they hate cans. Like, I feel like Benny the Jet hated that gas station because he blew up everything but Martin Blank, which makes me happy.
And I'm very like, one thing that did confuse me about this scene is how did it actually trigger the bomb? Because
Isn't it electricity that's supposed to do it, not a microwave? Like C4, doesn't C4 not work like that?
C4 requires like you to basically send,
An electrical.
you know, no, it needs like a force, basically a sharp force. So I'm like, what has actually triggered that? Because it was just in the microwave, and then the microwave stopped, and that caused it to explode. I may or may not have looked into the mechanics of C4 after watching Die Hard recently, and I'm being like, how did that like thing explode?
Maybe there's a charger in it, and he just set the timer on the microwave, but that's not necessary because he ran out of there. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and
The microwave
did he
turning
like set it
off.
up? And did he set it up just for dramatic effect so that it would beep down like that and be like beep? You know, that seems like
Maybe it's some special Canadian right? It's a new
maybe.
It's a new technique. It's a new C4 created specifically by Benny the Jet.
And it can only be kept stable by being in microwaves.
Whoa.
And as soon as you remove the microwaves from it, it explodes. Yeah.
The waves. So maybe he pulled a pin and then put it in the microwave, which kept it on stasis, and then when it turned off, it exploded.
Yeah, I don't think that's how the real world works, but we can go with it.
I mean, listen, maybe this is another timeline. This is it. And I like to think, though, that during his time in Budapest, that he came across Black Widow or Hawkeye. Because it seems like every assassin goes to Budapest, right? Don't they? What is
it's
it?
It's a fun city.
But I love it. I like how, well, that was in Budapest. Like, you hear that every assassin in every movie has been to Budapest.
Well, it's got some great bars.
Okay, I have a question for you. Start, bench, fire. Martin Blank, John Wick, Leon the Professional. So
That
on a
is
job.
difficult one. Yeah, I think you got to start with Leon. Like,
Yeah?
You know, he's the most, it's even in his name, professional. He is lethal. He's absolutely lethal. His whole thing about, the weapon you choose depends on how close you get. And it's like, the better you are, the closer you can get. And it's like going up, and he wouldn't be using sniper rifles on bikers. He wouldn't be using, wires down from the ceiling. You just go in there and, probably just hand the guy, a pill to be like, this will make you have a heart attack. You're going to die now. And then he'd sit there and smoke and watch him and be like, yeah.
And he doesn't want to quit. Or he doesn't want to leave because of a love interest.
No, he's just doing it.
So you start him. And then, who do you got next?
And then, I think you got to go John Wick, for pure carnage ability.
I mean, he's the Baba Yaga.
See, Martin Blank, his heart's not in it, right? He's struggling with his game. I think he needs to take a season off. Maybe go down to the lower leagues, work on his craft.
But there's no lower leagues
Come
of
back
Hitman?
stronger.
What did lower leagues of Hitman do?
Maybe they're bouncers. They just beat people up instead of killing them.
No, but that makes sense because John Wick left. That's just because he found the love of his life. But prior to that, he seemed pretty happy murdering people. So Blank just wants out. But I did notice a fair amount of similarities between John Wick and Grosse Pointe Blank. There's issues stemming from the death of a dog, right? There's hitmen leaving.
Tenuous, but yeah.
There's hitmen leaving the industry because of the love of their lives. There is let's see. They both kill people with pens or pencils.